Okay, Committee on Parole is called back to order. The time is 11:16. Our next case is Mr. Caleb Garner. Mr. Garner, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Garner, would you introduce yourself, please, and give us your DOC number?
Caleb Jerome Garner, 513185.
Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Garner, let me explain our process to you. First, I'm going to read some information into the record, and then we're going to conduct a parole interview with you. At the appropriate time, we will allow those persons who've indicated they wish to speak to have their say. On phone today is your mother, Ms. Rebecca Frost, and she wishes to speak. Also present is your sister, Katie Bonvillian, but she doesn't wish to speak. She's just here to give you moral support. At the end of that interview, you'll have an opportunity to say whatever you'd like to say to the board. Then we'll vote. Do you understand our procedure?
Yes, sir.
This is a matter of Caleb J. Garner, DOC number 513185, date of birth December the 29th of 1982. He's classified as a fourth felony offender. He has a parole eligibility date of December the 24th of 2023, an adjusted good time date of December the 24th of 2024. He has a full term date of June 24th of 2031. He is currently serving a 10-year sentence on the charge of DWI fourth offense, having been sentenced on December the 14th of 2021. Is that all accurate, Mr. Garner?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Garner, your case has been assigned to Mr. Pete Freeman. Would you please answer any questions he might have?
Okay,
Yes,
Mr. Garner, how old are you?
40,
What's your educational level?
GED,
How long have you served on this charge?
since July of 21.
2 years.
Yes, sir.
Okay. You must have bonded out, huh?
Yes, sir. I bonded out and I went back in on July the 1st of 21.
Okay. Mr. Garner, on the instant offense, you refused to take the test?
Sir?
You refused to take the DWI test on the instant offense?
Yes, sir.
Okay, can you tell me why?
I just what had always been advised by my lawyer.
Has it ever helped you any?
No, sir.
Yeah, okay. I'm looking at your criminal record. You've been on probation 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, but you've completed all of them successfully.
Yes,
Why
sir.
do you do good when you're under
Yes, sir.
supervision?
Yes, sir.
Why? I mean, you do well when you're under supervision, then you get off and boom, we're right back drinking and driving.
Yes, sir. I mean, I don't have an answer.
Okay. Have you ever received any long-term treatment for your drinking?
Yes, sir. I was in a drug court one time, but it was for a drug charge.
Okay, did you complete that drug court?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you reoffend after that drug court?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what did you learn from drug court?
I learned to get a program and work it, and that's usually when I mess up, when I quit doing that.
That would be a good reason why. Now I'm looking at the community attitude. The judge had no comment. District attorney's opposed, sheriff's opposed, chief is opposed, the chief of West Monroe is opposed, your family's unopposed, your mother. Tell me about your injury. What's the prognosis on your injury that occurred at work legal?
I'm pretty much paralyzed from the waist down.
Any Any hope to regain that mobility?
No, sir, they gave me a year and it's passed.
Uh,
Mr. Pete, this is Deputy Warden Olivo. I don't know if I can say anything at this point. If not, you can stop me. But I did, medical's my background. I did ask Mr. Caleb when he came in about physical therapy that he was doing at the facility. He said that they had discontinued that.
but we can't really hear you.
Okay, I did ask Mr. Caleb when he came in about his physical therapy and things like that. Medical is my background.
Right, I know.
So I sort of. He told me that he no longer is taking physical therapy. Usually that would mean, I don't have his chart in front of me, that he's reached max capacity that he can with physical therapy. Also, he did tell me about his activity of daily living. He is able to perform all those activities on his own, which means that he's able to transfer himself to and from the bed into his chair. He said that I asked him about standing, if he had a walker. He said he did not, but I think he's able to have some movement to his lower extremity. There's just no strength there.
I can stand like holding on to something, but I can't really walk.
He's
that great.
saying he can stand, but he can't walk. So I just wanted to give you a better understanding of what condition he's physically in at this time.
Thank you, Warden Oliver. Hey, while I have you up, have y'all had any problems with him?
We have not had any problems. He's actually housed on my Ash 2 dorm, which is my assistant living dorm. So he's with our more elderly offenders. He's probably the youngest one in there. Am I correct by saying that? Caleb?
No, sir,
One
no,
more?
ma'am, there's one more younger than me.
So we haven't had any problems out of him. I don't see where he's
I
had.
see no right. Okay. What do you do during the day, Mr. Garner? What can you do? I mean, do you work anywhere or?
No, sir, I have a no duty status.
Okay, so you're just in the dorm during the day?
Yes, ma'am. I mean, yes, sir. I go outside and go to class.
Okay. What classes have you taken? I don't see any that's been complete.
I'm taking 100 hours now, but I haven't been able to get them because I've been in the hospital and on the ward the whole time until a few months ago.
As I stated, he has 0 disciplinaries. His custody is medium. His risk is low. I have no further questions.
I've got a few questions. Mr. Garner,
Yes,
when
sir.
did you finish drug court?
I want to say 2014,
Where did you finish at?
Washita Parish, Monroe.
And you completed the program, you graduated?
Yes, sir.
How many sanctions did you have while you were in drug court?
2
What were they for?
missed screens.
This drug screens?
Yes, sir.
So it appears from your arrest record, it's both alcohol and drugs, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Tell me a little bit about your alcohol consumption. When did you start drinking?
I was young, probably around 15, 16.
And how often would you be drinking?
Back then.
Hmm.
Weekends or whenever. It's
Let's
mainly,
talk about this incident that occurred in 2020. How often were you drinking that day? What did you have? You had a bottle of whiskey in your car. Assume you were drinking that, is that right?
yes, sir.
How often were you drinking back then when you got stopped?
Probably 3 to 4 times a week.
And what were you drinking?
Mainly whiskey.
And how about drugs?
I haven't really done drugs since went into drug court.
So you just went back to alcohol.
Yes, sir.
What is your plan to stay sober if you get out?
I'm gonna get back in AA and get a sponsor. And
What are some of the reasons or what are some of your triggers for drinking?
some of the people,
Anything else? Stress?
at times, yes, sir.
How's your mental health right now with this accident that you've had?
It's gotten better. I mean, at first I had issues, but I'm a lot better now.
Do you anticipate being able to be more ambulatory once you get? Do you think you'll be able to carry a job, do a job of some sort?
I'm gonna try.
What kind of job? What have you had in mind to do?
I'm not real sure yet.
You know, there are automobiles and trucks that are equipped for people who are paralyzed to be able to drive. That's something that you might be able to do. Is that something that you've considered?
Yes, sir, but I mean, I have to get my license and all back first.
I understand all of that. But you know, you don't need a license to illegally drive. I'm very concerned about public safety. My calculations show you've been arrested at least 6 times for DWI. And you're 40 years old. And you've got a lot of drug charges as well. You went through drug court. It seems like you substituted drugs for alcohol. Are you an alcoholic?
Yes, sir.
Were you working back in 2020 when you got stopped for this charge?
Yes, sir.
What kind of work were you doing?
Welding.
And what day of the week was this?
That was on a Saturday, I believe.
And where had you been?
Sir,
Where had you been that day?
I'd been at home and I left going to my uncle.
You'd been drinking what? Whiskey?
Yes, sir.
How much did you drink?
3 or 4 drinks.
You had the bottle in your car with you.
Yes, sir.
Were you drinking in the car as you were driving?
I wasn't drinking it out of the bottle, but I had a cup with whiskey in it. Yes, sir.
Were you going to any kind of AA meetings back then?
No, sir.
Why not?
I'd quit going
Why?
because I'd started back drinking.
Do you think you would benefit from some sort of inpatient alcohol treatment?
Possibly, yes, sir.
Think you need that? Or you think you can do it on your own?
Well, I can't do it on my own.
All right. Thank you. Any questions? Yes, Mr. Rocha.
I'll follow up on the substance use issue.
Yes, sir.
Have you ever had any inpatient treatment for your substance abuse?
Yes, sir.
Where at?
At the rehab place it used to be in Monroe is closed now. Can't remember the name.
And when was that?
I was in my mid-20s, so it's been a while.
Been a while. You need a refresher course, don't you?
Yes, sir.
I don't know whether or not your present medical condition will stop you from going to the Steve Hall program. So I'm going to suggest a DOC substance abuse program before you're released. You have a good time date in 18 months, and you need some help before you are released in 18 months. So I'm recommend, I don't know whether or not my colleagues will go along with it, but that you take a long-term substance abuse program and the DOC will pick the appropriate program and that you complete that program before release. Jim?
Let's hear now from your supporters, Miss Rebecca Frost, your mother, Miss Frost.
Yes, sir.
Ma'am, if you would introduce yourself and tell us what you'd like us to know about your son.
I am Rebecca Frost, his mother. And I do agree, he probably needs some help, but I think with the family help can help him get the stuff that he needs, the programs that he needs, maybe, and help him with it.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your comments. Mr. Garner, is there anything you'd like to say before the panel votes?
No, sir.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Freeman?
Okay, Mr. Garner, this puts us in a unique position. Personally, I don't think any DOC substance abuse treatment that we have is going to take it. So I'm going to order DOC treatment if available. If not available prior to release, I want you to take Living in Balance 1 and 2.
What is that?
So that's my vote. I vote to grant conditionally. First, they should attempt to get you into a DOC substance abuse facility. If that does not work, then you are to take Living in Balance 1 and 2, and you can get released after that.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Mr. Roche?
I will concur with Mr. Freeman's recommendation, and I'm going to place some conditions on you after curfew from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. I want you to attend at least 3 AA meetings a week. You're to have random drug screens at the discretion of your parole officer. Good luck.
Thank you, Mr. Roche. Mr. Garner, you present a unique issue with us primarily because of your accident.
Yes.
I'm very concerned about public safety with your drinking. You've been through drug court. Drug courts are very successful. They teach you a lot of things. You're going to be getting out soon, whether we give you any relief here or not. So I agree with my colleagues. My vote is going to be to grant conditionally upon your completing a long-term substance abuse treatment program in DOC if one is available. One is not available. I agree that Living in Balance 1 and 2 would be required before you're released. On your release, once you complete those programs, you'll have a curfew from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m., 3 AA meetings per week. AA meetings now are on Zoom. You can go, they're AA meetings 24 hours a day, but you can find AA meetings. So you don't necessarily need to leave your house to get to them. You can get them on Zoom. So, but you will have to do 3 AA meetings per week and document those for your parole supervisor, and that you'll have random drug screens. So your parole has been substance abuse treatment program if one is available to you. Otherwise, Living in Balance 1 and 2. Good luck to you, sir.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
We'll do another hearing after this one, so stick around. This for me was one of the just so depressing, one of the more depressing hearings, which is interesting to say. No lives were taken or lost, no victims came up to speak, but there was just the energy, the life of the room, it just wasn't there. Talk about rock bottom. We've seen a handful of rock bottoms, in these Louisiana parole hearings. This one is on top of the list. You know, imagine at that age to get pulled over, is it on a Saturday? An open bottle of whiskey with a cup with whiskey in it in your car. You know you're screwed. He took his lawyer's advice, and it's smart advice. Hey, for those of you who don't know, the DUI guy represented me when we had to go to court against the Attorney General of Louisiana Parole Board when they tried to strike us off YouTube. And if you don't know about that story, check out the stream in the live feed. I'll put maybe something at the end of this. It was quite something. But he always says, as a professional DUI attorney, with very few exceptions, maybe by state, you don't take the test. And I think this was interesting proof as to why, if he would have taken the test, it only would have been data to be used against him, even in his parole hearing. They would have been able to have brought up, you were this much over the limit. But they couldn't. They didn't have that data, and they couldn't really hold it against him why he didn't take the test. They asked him, and he said, my attorney said not to. So I thought that was just interesting. Little scenario or tidbit there. But we don't take this DUI stuff lightly, because it really is. It's one of the more, it's just as dangerous as the other things. It's really just a matter of time. We've seen so many cases where lives have been lost on these hearings. We have a playlist if you want to look at them. Check the playlist. I've seen people take their own children's lives driving. If you can imagine that. As a father driving with his daughter and then getting 20-year sentence because of what happened. So then all of his kids lost a father and a sister. His wife lost a daughter and a husband. You get behind the wheel, and this is the 6th time caught. I think Miss Jackson brought it up. They say for every, I forget the exact number, but maybe they assume it's every 50 times you get behind the wheel, you get caught once. So his 6 times caught was doing it at least 250 times, and I think it's easy to believe that would be an understatement. You know, when you're facing all these years in prison and you have everything to lose, and you still get in your car, and not only get in your car, but you bring a bottle with you into your car, you don't have control. You're completely out of control. And it's hard to understand. It's hard for anyone who wouldn't be in that situation to understand, because it's your life on the line. Forget everyone else's. You could be a narcissist. Care only about yourself. Why would you throw it all away? I'm not even saying throw it all away. Go drink till your liver fails and you end in the grave. But why are you getting in the car? We live in a world where there's something called Uber, if you really have to go somewhere. And don't tell me it's expensive, blah, blah, blah. It will, he's going to be paying for this stuff for the next, maybe his whole life. But that's what Mr. Marabella means when he says it's a disease. It doesn't, it's not just the addiction part, but then it's once he's intoxicated, he makes bad decisions. And you know what? A lot of people make bad decisions. Some on out, when they're intoxicated but man, um, then he gets into prison. He's on work release, which is where they send most of these cases. And some of the people on work release, they go offshore and they make a lot of money. We've seen where they can make 100 to 150,000 a year. Now the work release program takes a lot of that money, I heard, but still, it's not bad. I mean, I shouldn't say it not. It's like, and in many cases, I've seen a lot of the comments. People are like, "Wait a minute, I have a degree and I have never gotten in trouble, and I'm still making less money than they are." It makes you wonder. Maybe you should get arrested, right? But then he has an accident, and I tried Googling it to find out what it was, but I couldn't find anything. But he has an accident where he becomes paralyzed from the waist down. And they're talking about his condition. He can move from his bed to his wheelchair. And man, if you can just imagine, if he would have thought one day, I'm going to be in Angola in a wheelchair. And it's just, this is a case that is just sad. It's depressing. It really is. It brings you down. You see his mother come on, and it's just like, it's just, she's like, there's nothing, there's no fluff. It is what it is. He'll go do some more programs. It's like, okay, yeah, like it's going to make a difference, right? Then he'll get out. I don't know why they didn't order that he wear a scram bracelet for the next 5 years. We've seen them do that sometimes. People have to wear a bracelet. If you drink it, it goes beep and you get revoked. We've seen them do that. I don't know why they didn't do that here. He's getting out anyways, so they're doing what they felt was best for the public. There's not much more they could have done except, I think, order those scram bracelets. The scary thing is that it's hard to believe that he won't get back into a car if he can drive, if he can get a car that will work for him. I mean, if there's any reason to drink more, it would be, I suppose, being paralyzed from the waist down and getting out of prison with pretty much nothing going for you. That seems like a pretty good reason to pick up the bottle. You only have to hope that he doesn't have a car. He's not able to drive, for his sake and for everyone else's. That's my thought. Let's go do another case. Hopefully it's a little bit less depressing. Okay.
Good morning. They think I will get chewed out, but I told him it was. I wouldn't hurt him.
The Committee on Parole is called back to order. The time is 11:43. Our next case is Mr. Leonard Michel. Mr. Michel, would you give us your full name and DOC number, please?
I didn't hear.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Michel, would you give me your full name and DOC number?
Leonard Michel, 370-950.
Thank you, Mr. Michel. Let me explain our procedure to you. I'm going to read some information into the record, then we're going to conduct a parole interview with you. At the appropriate time, those persons who've indicated they wish to speak will have an opportunity to have input. Currently with you today on Zoom is Mr. Kerry Myers with the Louisiana Parole Project. A friend of yours, Mr. Joseph Landix, will also be speaking. Another friend, Nicole Coap, is present, but is not going to be speaking. At the end of that interview process and hearing, you'll have an opportunity to say anything you'd like to say to the board before we vote. Do you understand our procedure?
Yes, sir.
This is the matter of Leonard J Michel. His DOC number is 370-950. His date of birth is November the 14th of 1978. He's a second felony offender. He has a parole eligibility date of November the 14th of 2023, an adjusted good time date of May the 22nd of 2072, and a full term date, January the 19th of 2073. He is currently serving a 75-year sentence on the charges of armed robbery after having been adjudicated a habitual offender and second-degree kidnapping. Mr. Michel, is that basically correct?
Yes, sir.
It appears that there are a couple of other people present, Ms. Wendy Michelle and Ms. Christine Wood. Okay. Mr. Michelle, your case has been assigned to Mr. Alvin Rose. Questions he might have.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Mr. Michel.
Good morning, sir.
Mr. Michel, you are currently 44 years old
Yes, sir.
and you've been convicted of 2 felonies. Tell me what the first felony was.
First felony was simple burglary.
And what was that?
In 1996, I broke into a residence in Jefferson Parish.
And what was your sentence on that?
3 years.
And you got out next year, November of 1997. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you were back. Were you incarcerated any time between 97 and 1999?
I got arrested in January 1998 on the charge I'm on now.
Right. Okay. And then this says that you were on probation in January 1999. Is that correct?
I was in prison on January 1999, sir, on this
Okay.
charge.
That's a mistake on the master sheet. You were at Hunt Correctional Center in 1999 when you were convicted on these charges. Am I
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes, I was in ARDC waiting to come to Angola.
So before we get started with your interview, last year in August, you were hospitalized for about 4 or 5 days. Tell me how you're doing right now.
I'm doing good, sir. I had a stroke, a mild stroke, and I still have some physical disability in my leg, but not much. Other than that, I'm doing pretty good.
You're improving. Yeah. Tell me current assignment is, are you on, duty status?
No, sir. I have regular duty.
Okay, tell me exactly what you do on a daily basis.
I work at the prison's rifle range. In the morning, I cut a little grass, clean up, some leaves and stuff outside. Clean up in the building, stuff like that. Mostly just janitorial duties and housekeeping duties and a little yard work.
So you're doing pretty good.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. Are you a trustee?
Yes, sir. I've been trustee for about 14 years now.
And tell me about the program that you completed in your incarceration.
I started doing my program in about 2006 with anger management. I've done substance abuse, living in balance, part 1 and 2. I've gotten my GED since I've been here. I've done 100 hours of pre-release, victims awareness, thinking for a change. I'm currently enrolled in the SDR program.
Tell us about the SDR program.
It's a drug recovery program. It helps to teach how to live in recovery on the street. So even though I haven't done drugs in a very, very long time, I thought that would be a good class to take to help me with my transition onto the street, to give me more tools to stay sober, to live a sober life.
Outstanding. Tell me, at what age did you start using illegal drugs?
Around 15, 14.
Were you raised by your parents?
Yes, sir. My
And
mother and father.
is there any history of drugs or alcohol in your family?
No, sir.
So how did you use drugs and keep it from your parents?
Well, I started hanging out, with the wrong crowd, of course, and when I started using drugs, it was hard to hide from my parents, very hard. I put a lot of effort into it, and I never was very good at hiding anything.
So what happened when your parents found out you were using drugs?
Well, the first time they got help for me, they got an outpatient treatment program for me. And after that, it was pretty much on my own,
So you're around 15 or 16 years old when they found out.
Yes, sir.
So have you ever had any problems with alcohol?
No, sir.
You don't consume alcohol.
No, sir.
What was your drug of choice?
My drug of choice was cocaine.
And you started on cocaine?
I think when I was a teenager, I smoked weed first. That was the first thing I did, smoke marijuana. But after that, cocaine is
Then you graduated cocaine.
yes, sir.
How long and how often did you use cocaine?
It wasn't a long period of time, but it was often during that short period of time, a few months. And then I wound up getting arrested.
The aggravated assaults, the break-ins, the burglaries, stolen property, all that contributed to your drug use?
Yes, sir.
So you were trying to support a drug habit.
Yes, sir.
Did you ever have a full-time employment job?
Excuse me, sir. I'm sorry.
Did you ever have full-time employment?
Yes, sir. When I was a teenager, I had a little full-time employment.
All the violence in your history, disturbing the peace by fighting, battery on the police officer, flight from a police officer, armed robbery, carjacking. Tell me where your mindset is. Why? Was it all because of drugs?
Yes, sir, it was. A lot of the stuff, I would spiral downhill and get a lot of things at one time, like the armed robbery and the carjacking and the stolen goods. It'd be one incident and I would spiral down. I was always drug motivated.
Now, it seems as though you had some good parents. So at any time you were on your down spiral, you could have went to those parents and they would have given you help. Why did
I was just a teenager who wasn't making good decisions, sir.
you were a drug addict?
Yes, I was a drug addict.
And are you a drug addict now?
I'll always be a drug addict, sir.
And
I'm-
it's,
But I'm in
Sure.
recovery. I'm in recovery now, sir.
okay. It's a lifelong disease that you have to treat for the rest of your life. So tell me what your ongoing sobriety plan would be if and when you were released.
Well, sir, I plan on going to the parole project when I leave here, and one of the first things I'm gonna do is find a good support group, a good AA group or NA group, and find me a sponsor. That's important to me, is trying to find a good sponsor. And I plan on seeking some kind of outpatient counseling to help adjust, back into the society, because I've never lived in society sober. So I'm gonna try to find some outpatient help to help me, outpatient counseling to counsel me back and help me adjust in society.
I see why you completed Celebrate Recovery about a year ago in June of 2022. Tell me what you got out of Celebrate Recovery and how can it play a role in the rest of your life?
Before I did Celebrate Recovery, I wasn't really, I was Christian, sir, but I wasn't living a Christian lifestyle. And when I started going to Celebrate Recovery, I found God during that time. And I started going to church and I started learning how to live. See, I always thought that being a drug addict, that I couldn't live a Christian lifestyle. But then I learned that I could. Celebrate Recovery taught me that. And when I get out, it's because of Celebrate Recovery, it taught me how to go to church, so I plan on living a Christian lifestyle when I get out. And Celebrate Recovery is what got me to that.
If you had a choice, which program would you make a part of your sobriety plan? Celebrate Recovery or NAA?
It would be Celebrate Recovery, sir.
And give me one good reason why.
When I was in Celebrate Recovery, the bond that I made with the fellows that were in my class with me, we kind of became a family. And I was told that the Celebrate Recovery families on the street are the same, and that's what I'm looking for.
And it's as God at its center. It's a religious
Yes, sir.
based substance abuse mechanism that will help you to stay sober.
Yes, sir.
Am I right? Tell me what you got out of victim awareness.
Well, one of the things my whole life, as well as a youngster, when I was doing all my crimes that I've done in my life, I never realized or I never thought about the people that it affected besides me. I was just worried about me and only me. And victims awareness taught me to understand stuff and about all my victims and everybody that my crimes hurt, you know, everybody that was affected by my crimes.
I see where you got your GED in 2009. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Tell me about any vocational training or skills that you gained during your employment. Conservation.
Yes, sir. In 2009, when I made trustee, I started working at the prison's tractor repair shop. And while I was there, I worked as a mechanic's helper and a maintenance man, general maintenance man around the shop. So for them 4 years that I worked there, I learned a lot of mechanics trades and maintenance trades while I was there.
I'm looking at your most recent annual assessment. In the statement says the offender Michelle does not participate in any program. Why?
Any program
club,
trades?
Any clubs?
What is it? What do you mean clubs?
Organization.
Oh, no, sir, I haven't.
Why?
All I've done is my programming. I don't know. I'm at Camp F and there's not a lot of programming available, clubs available back there, inmate organizations. I just always focus on my work and my programming.
And I see your transition plan, your initial transition plan is with Mr. Karen Myers at the Louisiana Pro Project. How long do you plan to stay with the Louisiana Pro Project?
Well, until I can gain meaningful employment and have myself set up to succeed, I want to be able to find, like I said before, I want to be able to find some good support groups to help me, along with a good job, and that way I'll be able to move out on my own. I'm thinking 6 months to a year, maybe 3 months. I'm not 100% sure, but I want to be sure before I leave there that I'll be set up to succeed. I don't want to go out half-cocked and not make it, you know? I want to be ready.
So what you're trying to tell me is that you want to stay with the Louisiana Pro Project until you can afford an apartment or a house and you'll be living on your own and not with rough.
Yes, sir.
I'm looking at your disciplinary record in the last Class B write-up I see is in August of 2004. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And what was that aggravated work offense about?
That morning, I was working in the field at the time, and that morning when they called work call, I was just a couple minutes late getting to the checkout gate. So I got wrote up for the aggravated work offense for not making it to the checkout gate on time.
In 2015, you got a number 4 of unauthorized area. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And what was that about?
I was, at the time, we could still smoke in the prison. And it was a rainy day outside, and I made the bad choice to smoke a cigarette inside the dorm instead of outside.
I got you. Okay. Something that's minor. Okay. So you hadn't had any disciplinary write-ups in 8 years, and you've had no major write-ups in the last 19 years.
Yes, sir.
And that's an accomplishment. You should be proud.
Thank you.
Any other programs that you would like to mention?
No, sir. I think we mentioned all of them, sir.
Warden Oliver, would you like to make any comments?
So when Mr. Michel walked in, I told him I never knew his real name. But I actually probably met him about 10 years ago. When he walked in, I told Mr. Michel I never knew his real name. I only knew him by his nickname. But I actually met him about 10 years ago when he was working for my father-in-law at the rifle range. So I can say for the past 10 years, he's been at the same job.
I'm gonna say freedom. He has a lot of freedom. I'm saying freedom like because he can move freely, they have to trust him. And at the rifle range, he does work well there and, no disciplinary problems, does whatever they tell him to do.
Thank you. I'd like to acknowledge that Warden Amber is present in the room. Warden Amber, do you have any comments?
I met Michelle about a year ago since I've been here, and he's been very respectable. I never had any problem out of him. Anything you ask him to do, he does. So he will be a good candidate to be released.
Thank you, Warden Amber. Last question, Ms. Michelle. And I want to see if I'm accurate before I say this. You have a 40-year sentence, a 10-year sentence, and a 75-year sentence, all running concurrent. Your total sentence is 75 years. If that sentence was run consecutively, you would have 125 years. So tell me why I should vote for an individual who has only served, 40 years on a 75-year sentence. Tell me why I should vote to release you early.
In the 25 years I've been here, I've changed. I'm not the same person I was when I got locked up. I'm a completely different person. I've matured a lot. I was very immature when I was on the street. And I want to say I have morals now. I never had that before. I take pride in me, in myself, and I've never done that before. I want to go in society and I want to prove that I'm a different person. I want to go into society and be a productive citizen. I've never had a chance to do, I've had a chance to do that. I've never done it. I've never chose to do that. That's what I want to do now. I want to get out. I want to be a productive citizen. I want to volunteer my time. I want to go out there and be the person that I know I am now. I want to show everybody that I can do that.
Have you ever had an intoxication write-up in 25 years of incarceration?
No, sir.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Now we'll hear from your supporters, Mr. Kerry Myers with the Louisiana Parole Project.
Yes, good afternoon. We're here today to support Mr. Michel. His list of accomplishments is long. Mr. Roche detailed that clearly. He has addressed his substance abuse problems through living in balance, and particularly, as he stated, Celebrate Recovery, which is going to be his long-term support system. Parole Project will help him through that process. He'll get an evaluation with a social worker. We'll be able to make connections with local churches who have Celebrate Recovery programs. We're prepared to support him as he transitions and through his goal to become self-sufficient. He also has a supportive family. He has sisters who also are here to support him. We believe Mr. Michel is an excellent candidate, and I ask this board to grant him today.
Thank you very much, Mr. Miles. We appreciate your comments. Mr. Joseph Landix.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. While incarcerated at Camp F, we had a slogan that we live by: recognize your value and make others appreciate your worth. The rehabilitative efforts of Mr. Michel exhibits a pattern of consistency. I know that he spoke about his involvement in club participation. I have watched Mr. Michel take his own finances after a rodeo event and buy cosmetics and food for underprivileged offenders and bag it to them, expecting nothing in return. So his charitable contributions are on point. You already know his history. You see his jacket before you. He's a wonderful person. And I pray that this board take into consideration his rehabilitation and afford him another opportunity at freedom. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Landis. We appreciate your comments. Now we'll hear from your sisters. First, we'll hear from Miss Wendy Michelle.
Just speak from here.
Yes,
Sorry about that. Hi, I'm Lenny's, one of his older sisters, one of 3 older sisters. One of the things I wanted to speak to today is Lenny's family support and what's available to him now and what he's missed being in prison. So I think one of the big reasons for the rehabilitation and the transformation in his behavior has been a slow realization of the things that he has never been able to be a part of since he's been in prison. So my mother got sick, she passed away while he was in prison. My father's getting older. He has 3 nieces, sorry, I don't want to make people cry, but has 3 nieces and nephews that are all full grown now that he's never been able to be a part of their lives. So, you know, we've been regular visitors for Lenny and supporters throughout his journey, first at Hunt, then here. We continue to be available for him throughout his recovery and support him in his Celebrate Recovery things. My father is willing, if at some point necessary, to be able to support his release for him to live with him and his wife if needed. So he does have a place if he would choose to want that. But, you know, I think watching life happen without him has had a big impact on him. And he gets to meet with us and see regularly what he's working for and what he's hoping to be a part of when he gets out. So thank you today for considering his release. We really appreciate you taking the time. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Michelle. We appreciate your comments. So Ms. Christine Wood.
Hi, I'm Lenny's oldest sister. So basically, I just want to say he does have a lot of support. Same thing Wendy said. All those things are true. We've always supported everything he's done here. The one thing I wanted to speak about is I am a nurse, a registered nurse. I worry about his medical condition. Him having a stroke. I'm sorry, Lenny.
That's okay. We understand this is very emotional. Take your time.
So I'm really, you know, having him home, I'd love to be able to help him get the medical care he needs, the rest of the rehab he needs, so he can be a working part of society again. This is why my assistant did most of the talking though. So thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Mr. Michelle, is there anything you'd like to say before the board votes?
Yes, sir. I would just like to thank y'all today for the consideration. And I really hope y'all will give me the chance to prove that I've changed and show y'all the type of person that I am now. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Michelle. Panel ready to vote?
Yes.
Mr. Roche?
Mr. Michelle, I'm share with you my notes. Last night, I've been going over the case for the last 2 days, and I wrote undecided. He's got 75 years backing up, so served 25 years. He has 50 years left on his sentence. That's a long time to be on supervision. And I wrote the note saying, I will make a decision after I interview the offender and get the testimony of all concerned parties, the remarks by the warden, and I'm going to look at the offender's attitude. Does he have a positive attitude? And you checked all blanks this afternoon. You had a good interview. I think you were very honest. You displayed a positive attitude. I got positive remarks from Warden Oliver and Warden Ambo. I got positive remarks from Mr. Karen Myers, who I highly respect, and his Louisiana Parole Project. And they're gonna receive you with open arms. You have a good transition plan. And I think with constant vigilance, you will overcome your drug addiction. But you have to remember, it is a lifelong fight. And you can't give up on it at any time. There's going to be a situation that's stressful. You're going to get angry. Remember your anger management. Count to 10 and walk away. I think you're ready. So I'm going to vote to grant you today. Based on the positive remarks of Warden Oliver and Warden Ambo, positive programming, good family support, and a good transition plan. Conditions after release. You have a curfew from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. You are to attend at least 3 Celebrate Recovery all NAAA meetings a week. And I want you to do some community service. Get with your parole officer, get with your pastor. And I want you to talk to disadvantaged youth. They have a story to tell and try to lead them in the right direction. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Roche. Mr. Freeman?
Okay, Michelle, I totally agree with Mr. Roche. Get to the parole project, do what they tell you to do. They have a lot of experience and they'll help you stay out, but you have to do it yourself. I agree with the same condition, and my vote today is to grant.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Mr. Roche, Mr. Michelle, you have 2 votes to grant your parole. I concur with my colleagues. Our vote today will be to grant your parole with the following conditions. You're to go to the Louisiana Parole Project. You have curfew from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m., 3 AA meetings or Celebrate Recovery meetings per week, 4 hours, 4 hours of community service work, preferably with at-risk youth. So good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Well, there you have it. Talk about contrasting hearings and optimism, hope, like enthusiasm versus the last one that we just saw. Just, it's 2 totally different vibes. You know, you left one just feeling completely depressed and really unhopeful, and you leave the other, at least for me, feeling upbeat, positive, and hopeful for the future. You know, it was so upbeat that I actually forgot they had mentioned the stroke until his sister had brought it up at the end again. At his age to have a stroke, wow. You know, they say you don't want to get sick in prison. To recover from that, pretty incredible. they didn't get into the details of what he did. And I Googled and looked. I couldn't find anything. My guess is that he never appealed his sentence. He never went to trial. I mean, the idea that they gave him, what was it, 75 years? Can you imagine? I think he has, they said, another 50 years on his sentence. Did I hear that right? That's what I have written down. So he had like a lot on the line, a lot riding on this hearing. And he did a really good job. I thought it was an excellent interview. Not just him, but by everyone. We didn't have any rambling speeches. The people who were speaking on his behalf weren't preaching to the board. It was like everyone, it was almost as if they knew he was going to get paroled and they knew to keep it short. But that's not fair to them for me to say that, because we have seen cases where it seemed the same way and they would ramble on until they have to get cut off. And it just didn't seem to help anyone, right? Mr. Roche in his form of questioning, it really he really did seem to. It didn't seem like he was just reciting things. It seems that he really did learn things. He really did mature. He really does understand his addiction. Although I thought this was interesting when he said, if you have a choice to pick one of the two, Celebrate Recovery or NANA, tell me which would it be and why? And he said, I would pick Celebrate Recovery. And I thought, oh no, he's done for. But I was wrong. Apparently they're both in the eyes of the board equal. There's just different approaches to it. Celebrate Recovery, I mean, from what I learned today, is, they're both substance abuse programs that are ongoing, but Celebrate Recovery is more of a focus on faith-based. And I heard that AANA is very like faith-based oriented. I from people who have participated, but I guess this is more so than much more focused or much more blunt about it than AANA. And the reason he gave why made sense to me. He said it was because of the community. He felt a connection to the community. Now, it could be that I think also Joseph Landix, who spoke, might be a big part of that program. So that could be a part of why he said that. But I'll just take it for face value, and that it makes sense. I mean, you would do it because of the community. If you can, in AANA, I guess they call it a sponsor, and maybe they call it something different in Celebrate Recovery. It's just about, right, I think to be successful, it's about having that community and having people you can trust, reach out to, won't judge you, and will be there to support you. And his job is at the shooting range. So, if there's probably one job where you really got to trust an inmate, it would be at a shooting range. So I can imagine that's got to speak volumes. It was interesting, his answers for what happened. He was 16. He started doing Pepsi Cola. He kind of went straight, graduated quickly to that, and in quick months ended up getting all of these charges. It sounds really bad on the record when it says armed robbery and was it carjacking and second degree kidnapping, and you're thinking, oh man. But I guess they could throw any charges they want. Second degree, you don't know, it could be worse or it could be but they didn't like go into those details. So, you know, in a nutshell, he was going down a really bad path really quickly. He got locked up, and it seems maybe it saved his life. I have seen other people who had gotten locked up and kind of blamed. I've seen it on Soft White Underbelly, if you're familiar with that show. I've seen a bunch of people get up there and say, you know, if I had gotten a longer sentence earlier, it would have been better for me. But instead, they were in and out of prison for a decade, getting a bunch of 2-year sentences. I've seen other YouTubers say that. We've seen a couple people say it here. Maybe in this case, his long sentence was the best thing for him. I don't know. I don't like these long sentences. I think 75 years is insane that they would give someone that at that age. I think it's criminal. And I think serving all the time he served now is pretty ridiculous. Like, but I guess you can say, well, what is too much? What is too short? This result seems to have been good. Hopefully we don't ever see this man again. But I'd love to hear your thoughts. And I'm going to go to the gym. I woke up to do this. It's 4:40 in the morning right now. I woke up at like 3 o'clock, and it's, you know, it's like you got to find time, like an hour here in the day. You get a free hour there, an hour here, and then, you know, over the course of a day, you might get 3-4 hours of hearings done. And that's how you keep up with the pace. But with that, I will let you go. And please do help with the YouTube thing. It makes a big difference. You can see it. I think you can see it happening now. Bye.